And welcome back. We begin our first conversation of the morning with Lucito Ayuso. He is the Community Liaison Officer for the Belize Audubon Society, and he is here to talk to us about an initiative called Boat to Boat. Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Ayuso.
Good morning, Channel 5.
It's a pleasure
Good
having you
morning,
here with
Belize.
us this morning.
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation to assist in promoting our conservation work for the Belize
Yes.
Audubon Society.
Let's begin by talking about your career working with the Belize Audubon Society. What has that been like for you in terms of your contribution to conservation and, of course, the many experiences you've had as a part of this organization?
Yes, that is right, Isani. First of all, let me introduce myself.
Certainly.
I'm Lucito Ayuso, the Community Liaison Manager for the Belize Audubon Society for the past 15 years. A teenager in conservation.
Yeah.
So, and that question that you asked is, it's if I stay here and talk about it, probably I would not need half an hour. I need a whole day to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But definitely, for the past 15 years, I'm responsible for the community program for the Belize Audubon Society. And my job entails liaising with the other protected areas program, and that includes protected areas management, education unit, the research and monitoring program, and to a certain extent the administration part of it, because without money, the job cannot happen, right? So, my job is mostly project-based. But the bottom line and the mission of the community program is to integrate alternative or income diversification opportunities with conservation. That is to say that, and I want to put it in a nutshell, that if you don't have community participation in conservation, the conservation work will not happen. So we need the buffer communities to be participatory in the activities of conservation. And that is exactly what is happening at the Belize Audubon Society. And I would like to put it in 3 words. Community, and I said it in our staff meeting about last Friday, that community work, I see it in 2 ways. One, you become popular, right? Because you get to know a lot of people in the buffer communities that we work. You get to hear their interests, their needs, so that we could, at the end of the day, we could make appropriate or sound decisions to solve those interests, to help and try, remediate those interests and needs. So, that is one. And number 2, you have a passion. Without passion, you don't work for a paycheck. You have to have a passion for the work that you do, right? And I would like to put it in 3 words. Respect, listen, and build trust, right? So if you have to go to a Mayan community for the Coxcomb Basin Wildlife Sanctuary, in fact, we work with 7 communities there, 7 buffer communities around Coxcomb Basin, the Jaguar Reserve, right? And if you need to take off your shoe and sit down in a little seat around their fire hearth while doing tortillas,
You do it.
exactly. Drink a little cup of cocoa with them while listening to them. That is what makes things happen. You listen to them. And at the end of the day, the building the trust is not an overnight thing. Building the trust is over time. So you gain that trust. And one thing that you do, you never promise communities, right? You never promise, but you tell them, our work is project-based, our work comes with processes. We will try and help you how we can.
That's a that's a lesson, an abiding lesson that you should probably share with the politicians. I kid. So let's talk about boat to boat. What is that initiative about, and how did it all come to be?
All right, that is only one of the initiatives that we pioneered in 2012. No? It's one of the strategies to promote our conservation work. And first of all, I would like to say that that initiative started at Blue Hole and Half Moon Key Natural Monuments, and with the fishing stakeholders that depend on the livelihoods of conch, lobster, and to a certain extent finfish, no?
Yeah.
For their livelihoods. These people go 8 to 10 months fishing lobster, conch, and finfish for their livelihood because they depend on those resources.
Those are my friends from Sarteneja, from Copperbank, Shunush, and all those areas.
Right. Yeah. And we do have other fishing stakeholders that come from Progreso, Libertad, San Jose, So all those fisher folks have extended, the fishing industry has impacted all the livelihoods of all those communities up north too, just like the sugar cane, right? So we started the initiative in 2012 under a Jeff-funded small grants program, right? But that same time we had that project, and we had a lot of community meetings scheduled. But we found out that the community meetings that we held under that project were not fully attended, and it was not attended by the stakeholders we wanted to meet. And those were the fisher folks, right? All we had is about 25 to 30 people coming to the meetings, enjoying the snacks and the leaf juices, and mostly women and children.
Yeah.
So the meetings were not fruitful. And one of the main reasons because fisher folks are fishing out there. So the idea came by myself and the then protected area manager, Mr. Shane Young. I guess you know him, no? He's now the program director for Belize Audubon. He oversees the protected areas, the work of the protected areas that we manage for the government of Belize. So we sat down in his office one December morning like this, and we talked about what can we do to reach out to direct stakeholders. Bam, came the idea, you know what? Let's go and visit the fisher folks in their fishing boats while they are doing their fishing. But to have that amicable relationship, December time right now, you have a lot of grapes, apples on the shelves, right?
Yeah.
So he says, you know what, let's take them some grapes.
Refreshments,
and a leek coke, no? Because these guys use a lot of energy while fishing.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're basically spreading a Christmas cheer out at sea.
Play too full, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they appreciated it though.
So we went, right? We did our first boat on a December like this when the conch season is full swing, right? So we went out there, and we are happy that we're going to do this boat to boat and everything, meeting the fisher folks one-on-one on their fishing vessels. We had two boats stationed at Half Moon Key, and we used one of those. We stuck the apples, the cokes, the crates of coke in there, and so we went to the atoll, around the atoll. Fisher folks were right there, fishing. We went around 8 a.m., right? They were fishing, and while fishing, they saw us coming, we went on one boat, everything, we tell them our objectives, what we are there for, to raise awareness about the fisheries regulations, and talking about the size limits of the conch, the tail length, and everything, no? And the shell length and all these things. But we were not received very well.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
So that's the first boat. They felt that then when we went to the second boat, although we still share with them They didn't want to like voice their opinions and talk with us
Yeah.
and so on. But
Even
we
though
still-
you tried to
even
give,
though, yes,
yeah.
correct. Even though we
Probably
tried to
took you
give.
for fisheries enforcement.
Yeah, yeah. The fisheries. Oh, sorry. It's a joint effort
Okay.
because we did it along with the fisheries department at that time. No.
Yeah.
The fisheries department was right. The fisheries officer. So it was myself, Mr. Shien Young, and the two fisheries officer and two rangers from station at Half Moon Key. So when we went to a skiff, which is a second boat, is a Belize, I clearly remember it's a Belize City skiff. At the bow, there was a fisherman with his spear gun, right? And one was on the at the end of where the engine is,
Yeah.
and one was around the middle, around the icebox where they stash their product, no? So when we swing around with our small boat around the fishing boat, the Belize City boat, I only noticed that the fisheries officer and one for rangers jumped inside the water. I did not conscious that they already saw sacks around the boat, sacks of conch, right? So when they got up and pushed the first set of sacks inside the Belize City boat, right? No, inside our boat, the sacks were filled with conch, right? So they went in back again, but at that moment when they went back into the water, I saw that the guy who had the spear gun, like he was trying to point his gun to Mr. Young.
Yeah.
Now I have the crates of coke right inside our boat, and so I grabbed a coke. But when I grabbed that coke, and I can't even shake myself because I stay stiff there. At that moment, the fisheries officer and the ranger pull out other sacks and they threw it inside our boat again, but they quickly came up because I think they said like things want to happen there.
Yeah.
So everything happened so quickly that I see that the guy swiftly like he draw down a thing, right? A spear gun. And I still remain there, frozen, ice cold.
Yeah.
But everything happened so quick. So that was telling us that these guys were not receptive of us. These guys had that antagonistic feeling against Belize Audubon Society.
Yeah.
It was our first boat to boat.
Wow.
They felt that we were intruding into their turf, into their business, which is their livelihoods. So we took them there at Half Moon Key. I think they were arrested because they had a number of them undersized conch, right? A number of undersized conch. So that was how Fisherfolk felt when we started the initiative. When
Yeah.
we wanted one on their fishing vessels, raising awareness.
How did it transition from these fisherfolk not being receptive in 2012 to now this venture continuing over 10 years later?
Yes. As I tell you, we were the pioneers. And as I tell you, it takes a process, right? And I think what helped is that soft approach, because we call it is a soft approach where we do not mingle it with enforcement, right? We try to let it be establishing a dialogue without any kind of enforcement.
Yeah.
Easy dialogue where we could talk to them, but it has happened throughout the years, right? And I think the little glitch to it is that little snack and the cook that, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about what are the threats, what are the issues, what are the concerns, voice it out to us.
Yeah.
What is affecting, what is impacting your livelihood so that we can move and do fishing best practices in a sustainable manner so that you become stewards of your area where you are fishing, right? So that has transitioned over the years. Now they are waiting for us today. They're waiting for, hey, Mr. Ayuso is coming with his coke and snack. Yeah, let's sit down and talk.
No, they
They're
actually
willing,
welcome
right?
it.
Yes, yes,
They look
they have
forward to
become
it.
so receptive to
Wow.
it. And with that being said, now we can do, we dialogue with them, and we can do even much more with them as to where we should go with the fishing at Half Moon Cay and Blue Hole Natural Monuments, which is Area 7 under the Managed Access Program, right? Today we have a functioning LAC, Local Advisory Committee, Fisherfolk are involved. We have established fishing associations whom we dialogue with to promote our income diversification opportunities. No? So we have gone a long way establishing that relationship with them. Through that boat, a lot of things came up, and I think our conservation work is much more, how can I say, trust. Trust has been built with the fisher folks out there at Half Moon Cay and Blue Hole.
Through this initiative, you mentioned, Mr. Ayuso, that a lot came up from these fisher folk. I know we don't have much time, but let's talk about some of the issues that were addressed through Boat to Boat.
All right. One of them is the placement of buoys so that they can identify the boundary lines around the atoll. Because they say that if you place buoys near the Blue Hole, which is a no-take zone, Half Moon Cay is a no-take zone, right? Because you have the general use zone where they could fish. So this has happened through their recommendation and through the LAC, who have Fisherfolk, how can I say, Fisherfolk representation in the LAC. No? So this is one of them. We have established in collaboration with WCS and so on, two fishermen associations have been established, one in Kapabank, one in Chunush, under my tenure, right? Along with collaboration with other conservation partners. And this is the Chunush Fisherman Association and the Kapabank Fisherman Association. To date, we continue working with those fisher folks associations and their families to promote income diversification opportunities. Like for instance, at Kapabank, we still have up to today working a lady doing her homemade recado and selling it in locally and nearby Corozal, right? So if you want delicious and homemade recado for relleno during this time, or your tacos or stew chicken and so on, you get locally made at Kapabank.
If there are persons viewing right now and they want to collaborate and do their part in assisting the Audubon Society, what can they do and how can they help?
The communities?
Yes.
How can they help with Belize Audubon Society? Well, they have shown support for our conservation work, right? And I've always tell the organization, right? It doesn't mean that you will provide monetary contributions always to communities, right? Hand-holding them always. But to gain support for conservation, simply, if you look at their needs, one of their basic needs is scholarships, right? Scholarships, because they say that they do send their children to high school, but they don't have that funds like to send them way up to higher level. So just those little things. I think in 2016 to 2018, we offered 2 scholarships, one in Kapabank, one in Chunush, for a high school to 2 high school students, which now they are serving their community. And that little thing is what gains support for our conservation work, because
Makes
2
sense.
families extends with those communities who, it multiplies, right? And we gain our support for conservation. So when we have our meetings, when we go out there, we have well-attended meetings now also, right? Community nights they participate. The communities participate. That is one way. Okay. We also have the reef protector programs under the environmental education unit. Again, we help our youths to develop career-minded ideas. Also in conservation, not fishing, but other career-oriented, so that they could engage in job opportunities, maybe through voluntary work with us or through other organizations and so on. And again, this has helped to lift up, big time our conservation work with the communities.
Yeah.
Mr. I don't know if that has answered.
Yes, it has, certainly. Well, Mr. Ayuso, my last question to you is to piggyback on what Isani started with. We spoke about your journey with the Audubon Society in conservation, and I understand that you are retiring this year as well.
Yeah,
as you reach the end of this journey, what are your final thoughts about what you have contributed to?
I guess that through the community program, we have done what we could have done. There's a lot more to be done, right? But I guess at this stage, the boat is a legacy. It will continue, and hopefully it might gain more momentum. In fact, we have replicated it in other conservation areas. For example, we were mentors to SEA, the Southern Environmental Association. So I think that was good on our part. And other people are interested. So I love to see that legacy is being, maybe the government one day will take it as a part of a policy, all right? And see how that this is a good community engagement strategy to engage fisher folks and listen to their yearnings, their cries, their threats, and so on. So I foresee, probably this is one of my things that I foresee in the future. I don't know if it will happen. So that is one. Two, I did my job with passion. And I encourage everybody that conservation is a beautiful career, right?
Certainly
because you are
is.
working to make this earth green, to save this earth. For whom? When we say people talk about those people that save animals for what? But at the end of the day, it's for our own cries. It's for humanity, for the next 10, 100 years, so that your children or children's children enjoy the biodiversity, because we live in cohesion with one another. So a lot of deforestation happening all over the world, and I cherish Belize that has over 40% of its land protected, right? And if we could continue this for the next years, I mean, I want to seed plants in the future, let's plant a tree, even in your yard, because that gives us energy, that gives us oxygen, right? For us to continue doing our livelihood. So I told my boss that my main thing is that now that I'm leaving, I'm not leaving, boss, I'm still around, right? I'm still around, but wherever I go, I'll be planting seeds of conservation.
Excellent.
I have a passion for it.
Perfect way to end this segment. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayuso, for the work that you have done, that you will continue to do even after your retirement as well. And congratulations on a fulfilling 15 years with the Audubon Society.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I stay to be an adult, I will learn much more, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much for having me and Belize Audubon Society to talk a little bit about conservation work.
No problem. All right, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into the Christmas deals with the cellular world. Don't go away.